Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome. It's an Overreaction Monday show right here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Anwar Richardson. We are so glad to be with you. We're talking Texas football. We're going to talk probably OU football, some Florida football, a little bit of everything college football related coming out of a weekend that saw Texas drop in the AP poll as they go into a bye week. Did they find themselves? How much do you think Texas found themselves? Let us know in the comments below. Jump into the Specs chat. Chat it up. Anwar, we're teasing the biggest fraud in college football. It feels very hyperbolic, right? But then again, that's where you get people to click. But I do feel like there's a real interesting conversation to be had about this Texas OU game as it looms in the offing now a few weeks away. Arch Manning had himself a weekend. What does it mean? What can a performance against Sam Houston State mean? Maybe everything, maybe nothing. And then you've got John Mateer, who is the favorite for the Heisman and hasn't posted a 140 quarterback rating against a Power 4 program in 2 seasons. So I don't know, man. Where do we start today? It feels like maybe we should start with Arch and move to Mateer and the Gators and everything else. How are you feeling about Arch?
I still don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still there. There's still some, there's we don't know. And then here's the reason why. I was thinking about this yesterday. I didn't know what our topic was going to be, but I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, what we know is he came in off the bench versus UTSA, had a good game, was okay against La Monroe, good against Mississippi State, not good versus Ohio State, not good versus Sam Houston State, not good versus UTEP, and then there's Sam Houston State. So all I have right now for something to hang my hat on is performances versus Sam Houston State, Mississippi State of last year, not this year, because Mississippi State this year is a little bit better, and off the bench versus UTSA. That's not enough for me, Catch, to say I know a lot at this moment because I haven't seen it against teams that Mississippi State might be the best of that bunch of all the good performances. And that's not saying much because Mississippi State was horrible last year, right? So I'm still trying to figure it out. I think once we go into SEC play, we'll know a little bit more as we get into Florida. Because Florida at least has a decent defense. Their offense is horrible. Like, we know that. But at least their defense is good. And then I think, in Oklahoma and, Venables and him being a defensive guy, they're going to try to throw different things at Arch. And so, with Sam Houston State, that ends up Catch being the I guess, pick-me-up that you get for Arch. But if you say, hey, as we sit here on September 22nd, 9:04 a.m., I know for sure that, yes, this thing is cooking. I can't say that.
So let me reframe the question slightly. Maybe it produces a different answer. Maybe it doesn't. Because I think you're right. In terms of what we know, I don't know how anybody could dispute anything that you said, right? I mean, it's all factual. There's not missing sample size that Anwar omitted from, the resume, so to speak, unless you want to sprinkle in he scored a touchdown run against Texas A&M as a red zone guy, whatever. So what we know, I don't think can be disputed. So let me ask it this way. Not what you know, because I don't know that we know anything about Arch. Really? How do you feel after Saturday? After Saturday, you feel what about him? Next couple of games, what awaits us when the season picks back up in a couple of weeks?
I can't say I feel better. I don't feel better. So, and I know it can kind of work both ways, and it might sound a little contradictory, right? Because the lack of performance that we saw versus San Jose State and UTEP. You can say, well, he did it against Sam Houston State, so you should feel better, right? But I don't feel better because I I know what it looked like when this offense is going against. I don't even consider UTEP a good team, but I know what it looked like against Ohio State, right? And so if Ohio State is here, and let's put UTEP here, right? As far as my tier, tiers. Now, obviously, I'm making it, so everyone can see it, right? So just imagine there's a lot of space in between here. I don't want anyone to be like, "Damn, you think that they're close?" No, I try to fit in the screen. The offensive performances haven't been great against any of these tiers, right? The offensive performances have still been low. So I can't go into the next couple of weeks. I go into it feeling like, Catch, I feel like Florida, for me, just because I know that offense is dog shit, is probably the game that Texas gets by. And then I think everybody can say, whoo, all right, there it is. I think Oklahoma, to me, is a scary-ass game, though. That to me, because you ask me how I feel, I'll be honest with you, Catch. I started thinking, I'll take it's overreaction Monday. I started thinking to myself, okay, how do I feel about the 8-game SEC schedule? Do I feel like Texas is going to go 8-0? It's probably not, because I still had Georgia down as a loss. Do I feel like now that moves it down to 7-1? I don't know. Can I go 6-2? Yeah. 6-2 is probably is on the table. So can't say I walk away and going into this bye week feeling like, oh man, I'm gonna be real busy in December and January traveling. Get your travel budget ready, Catch, because we're gonna be going back-to-back weeks. I can't say that right now, Catch.
Interesting. Couple of things. One, I see that we got a birthday girl in the chat. So happy birthday to Tex Blondo 5. Fellas, if you sneak into her DMs today to tell her happy birthday, don't be a creep.
Oh, God.
She does not suffer fools. I'm just letting you know. Happy birthday, Tex Blondo 5. We're glad you're hanging out with us a little bit in the chat.
I would pay money to see her DMs just to see all the creeps that are in there. I would pay good money to see that.
I don't I feel like I know how bad it is, and sometimes I always find out that it's worse.
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm not quite so sure that
you might be right.
I don't know that I want to see the ick. I'm just saying. Tracy, what's up, man? Good to see you. 999. As parents considering Arch's struggles this season, if Arch were your son, what would be the nature of your conversation with him today regarding the remainder of the season? Interesting. Tracy, I haven't given that literally any thought. Like, what would I say as a father? It feels like the kind of thing as a father I would like to think about. Like,
I could give you two because I'm a sports dad.
Okay.
And so look, my son's soccer team, as good as Max is, right? He gave up 3 goals over the weekend in a game. Now, it wasn't all his fault, as you know, how goalkeepers go, but that happened in one of the games. They lost. They had a 1-1 tie recently. There was another game that they lost, right? And everything always is, for me, if you feel like he's doing everything right mechanically, this and that, just stay the course, stay consistent. Don't worry about it. Things are going to happen. Worry about the things that you can't control, and you feel confident that things will get worked out eventually, right? So you don't panic about something when you know you've got a long time, you've got a long runway. So if I was the dad, nothing changes as far as the conversation goes, because if you're a dad, you can't be the one that blinks. So you got to give a consistent message.
Yeah, I think for me the answer simply is I need to know Arch better as a human being. Like, I have two 11-year-olds. They're twins. One's a girl and one's a boy. Same situation, different strategies oftentimes with how I deal with it with each of them. Anwar can tell you the same thing. 2 boys, roughly the same age, but they're different. So I don't know. It's hard for me to what would the nature of my conversation be with Arch? This may be a cop-out, but I don't know, man. I can tell you how I would do it with my son. But my son isn't even an athlete. So it's like apples and oranges. I don't know.
Here's the one thing I will say about this, Catch. Arch does say that, his family lives in Austin. So they're there. They get together on Sundays. They go out to eat. And apparently they don't talk football on Sundays. And he just gets to kind of detox, on Sunday. And I think that's probably the conversation is, hey, man, what do you think about, what do you want to order on today, right?
What do you think about Drake May yesterday? Did you hear his nickname, Drake Maybe? That's funny, right?
Exactly. Hey, son, what's the 6'7" thing that everybody's talking about, right? What is all that?
There's no handbook for this thing. Like, whatever Arch needs is whatever Arch, I'm going to trust that Arch's parents, they've done a really good job of keeping that dude grounded. The one thing I don't doubt about the Mannings is that they'll know how to handle their kid. They've done a pretty good job. We could all aspire to have kids as grounded as Arch seemingly is. I don't know. So I come
from a super chat in there as well, Catch. Oh, I pinned it. I think I pinned it.
It's a 10 spot from Longview, Luan, right? Or is that Lujan?
Luan? Luan.
Hey, we have a young, talented, untested team. We will be good next year. The top of the SEC is already playing fast, violent, clean ball. I think the SEC is a lot of garbage this year. If I'm being completely honest, I think one of the things for me that kind of saves Texas right now is I don't trust none of these teams. I look at Oklahoma. That team's still going to lose 4 games this year. Now, look, Texas might not be one of them. I look at that Texas game right now, and I don't trust either of those two offenses to score more than 17 points. I mean, they have a lot of the same, weirdly, because Texas shouldn't, on paper, have the offensive skill position issues that Oklahoma has. Texas should be better. I can look at Oklahoma's roster and tell you why they don't have elite guys. Texas should have better players. They have a better roster. They have the 3rd best roster in college football. Oklahoma does not. But neither team right now is forget about the quarterbacks for a second. Neither team can run the football, at all. Oklahoma is actually worse at running the football than Texas. And Texas is averaging against 75% of a sample size against some pretty terrible teams. Obviously, Ohio State, the difference. And they were decent against Ohio State running the football. Man, they can't get anybody above 5 yards a carry. So neither team's going to be able to run the ball against the other. But Oklahoma, man, they don't have receivers that can really get open. They got Jags at wide receiver, which Oklahoma's able to scheme around. You saw them do it Saturday a little bit against Auburn. And that other than that deep fade that Mateer threw, that was the controversial, was it a catch? Was it not a catch? It wasn't a catch. And then it was a catch. They have a hard time going down the field. Everything's played inside of a phone booth because they don't have receivers that can separate and get open. By the end of that game, Auburn was just sitting on everything. OU's going to play better teams and better defenses than Auburn. And I don't think you and I agree about that game. And I think A&M is just a team. I think Tennessee is just a team. I don't really even have a feel for Georgia. I think the SEC as a whole is just down.
Well, but if you say that, Catch, then this is where I would say, well, and look, the one thing I do not.
And I think Texas only has 3 more games on their schedule that are losable.
But here's the deal. Here, listen, I don't want to be the person that says I'm going to defend Oklahoma, but
go for it.
But I will say this: if I give you the schedule, and I will, what team here do you say Oklahoma can't beat? Okay, we know they're going to beat Kent State, right? Can they beat Texas? I'm just saying, can they? Right?
Yeah.
South Carolina, that doesn't look like the South Carolina team that we thought was so good last year.
It's still a coin flip game from my perspective.
Okay, South Carolina isn't doing that great. Okay, but we know
massive disappointment.
Correct. Ole Miss.
I mean, I still don't know what Ole Miss is.
Tennessee. Maybe you say Tennessee is a loss, right? Potentially.
I would think so, but they can beat Tennessee.
Alabama.
They can beat Alabama.
And then there's Missouri and LSU.
I think they could lose all 4 of those games that you just mentioned.
But I think they can win all 4 as well.
Oh,
That's the thing. I don't think any of these teams are that great.
I think John Mateer is just a guy.
He might be just a guy that's good enough.
He literally does not have a game yet as a starting quarterback for anybody against a Power 4 conference level team where he's been better than a 140. He's never been 140 in a game. That's not even good. We ran Quinn Ewers out of town for that type of quarterback efficiency. And John Mateer is just okay. He's good. I think he's Diego Pavia good. He's not Dylan Gabriel good. He is not better than Dylan Gabriel. And a couple of years ago, it took Dylan Gabriel having the game of his life for Texas to lose that game in a year when Texas was deplorable on defense. That Oklahoma offense isn't doing jack shit against Texas. Now, the question is, can Texas do jack shit against Oklahoma's defense? And I'm not confident about that at all. Again, I don't think either of these two teams is going to be able to run the ball against the other. So suddenly, both of these teams against teams that, it will come down to which quarterback probably makes the fewest mistakes. And I don't even know who that is yet. I actually think Mateer is better than Manning right now. But I think Manning takes care of the football better than Mateer does, who will throw it up for grabs in ways that, unless Texas is in the red zone, Arch Manning doesn't seem to do. Can't completely forget that he did that. But I don't know, man. John Mateer compared him. Someone asked him a Johnny Manziel question over the weekend.
It's kind of an odd question too, by the way, because it's not like he even plays for A&M where you even want to connect that, by the way.
For him to say the difference between those two guys is that he's going to church on Sunday is so insulting. Who does he think he is?
Well,
who does he think he is? He just threw a 140 on the board at home against Auburn, a game they should have lost. He is such a guy. He's not even Dylan Gabriel good. I don't even know where Dylan Gabriel is right now. Do you?
Dylan Gabriel? He's with the Browns, isn't he?
I have no idea.
He got he's the third-round pick by the Browns, and then Shedeur went later if all goes well.
He's so inconsequential. I don't know where he is.
He's better than he was a third-round pick. He's not that inconsequential.
Well, no, because he had a really good last year. But,
I just feel
played
like
at 9 schools and played 8 years for a reason.
Yes. I just feel like, look, I don't know this to be true, okay? But I will say this. I am getting flashbacks of similar things that was said about Gabriel coming from UCF. He's been hurt.
He had an anomaly. Look, if Mateer has a career game against Texas will lose. Dylan Gabriel, at the time, he went on to surpass it a year ago at Oregon. But at the time, against Texas, best game of his entire career. If they played that game 10 times in a simulation, that doesn't happen all 10 times. It did that day. And if John Mateer at Oklahoma show up in the Cotton Bowl in a few weeks, and he has a Dylan Gabriel performance from that game, Texas will lose. But if they play that game 10 times, Oklahoma is not hitting 20 points offensively in at least 7 or 8 of those games. They're not. They're not good enough offensively. They can't run the ball. And some of this is if Mateer were surrounded by better players. For instance, dare I say, if Mateer were the quarterback at Texas, playing with what I think are better receiving talents, I think Mateer would probably be doing better right now than Arch Manning. If you were forced me to take one of those two guys the rest of the way, I guess it comes down to what my goal is. If my goal is to go 8-4, John Mateer is going to get me there. I'm going to a bowl game. I'm going to have a good season. I'm going to pull some upsets. He's going to represent me really well. He's good. But if I'm trying to win a championship, I'm not doing it with John Mateer. Now, am I definitely going to do it with Arch? Can't say that. I don't know if he's good yet. But his ceiling is better than John Mateer because I haven't seen Arch's ceiling yet. We've seen enough of John Mateer. I know who he is. I've seen him play 3 times now this season. He's never changed. In fact, the thing that makes him kind of a plus player isn't his passing, for God's sakes. It's his running. But he's not a better run threat than Arch is. I just don't like seeing Arch run. So I don't know, man. I think everybody across college football is taking crazy pills. John Mateer has a quarterback rating that's below Arch's right now, and he's the Heisman favorite. I don't know what bizarro world we live in. We're giving benefit of the doubt to guys and teams that have earned none. And when we talk about Texas for a second, I know the Texas defense is elite. That is an elite side of the ball. They've only given up more than 14. They haven't given up more than 14 points in a game yet this season. They're elite. They've got elite players. They've got NFL players. If we take all of the 16 teams in the SEC and we say which teams have an elite side of the ball, like truly elite. Georgia on defense, they get a free entry into the club. Who else do we know is elite? Because I think the thing that carries Texas this season is the fact that they are not going to have to score more. You know how many times last year they needed to score more than 18 points to win a game in the regular season? Twice. 2 times. You know how many times in 4 games they've needed to score 20 points in a game to win? 0 times. You know how many times the rest of the season they'll probably need to score more than 20 points to win a game? Probably a couple of times. They're going to win the rest of their games because their defense is going to ensure of that, barring Arch just pick 6 here, pick 6 there, punt block. I mean, those things can happen. But Texas has a schedule where if they play the majority of the teams on their schedule 10 times, 10 game simulations. They lose the Georgia game the majority of the time. They beat A&M at home the majority of the time. And I think they probably beat Oklahoma the majority of the time. They're still a significantly more talented team than Oklahoma, even if that hasn't projected itself on the field completely yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think as relates to the Mateer conversation, I mean, again, you give it. I know you're going off his passer rating, and you can't negate the passer rating issue. I'm
just going off what I've seen.
I get it, but he also he does lead the SEC in passing yards thrown this season.
Passing yards? Are we doing that again?
He's 7th in the country as far as that number is concerned.
The worst games that Quinn Ewers ever had in his life were the ones where he had a shit ton of passing yards. How many yards he had throwing and still? Remember the 2022 game? The infamous worst night in Quinn Ewers' life as a quarterback until Georgia a year ago. He threw for 340 yards that night. Yards do not matter.
Yards do matter. They do matter. They move the ball. Moving the ball does matter. Yes. Moving the ball up and down the field does matter.
I mean,
that does happen.
You think they're moving the ball up and
is
down
undefeated.
The field? I know they are.
Oklahoma on paper at this moment has more quality wins than Texas does.
That's true.
So
do you think Oklahoma is better? I mean, let's just cut to the bullshit. Do you think Oklahoma is better than Texas?
Right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, we fundamentally disagree.
I'm basing it off of what I see. Now,
you did this with Vanderbilt last year, and I tried to tell you. Why are you ranking Vanderbilt like third in the SEC?
Vanderbilt at the time beat Alabama.
So what? Those things happen.
And if you beat the number 1 team in the country, you have to rank them. You can't say, well, you
don't have to do anything. What you have to do is say,
Yes,
what
you
do I
do.
think this team is? Not what they just did on Saturday.
But I can't go off of the hypotheticals of what may or may not be 6 or 7 weeks down the road. I can only live in present day. It's the reason why the University of South Florida was ranked after 2 wins, right? Because you can't base it off of, but they're probably going to lose against Miami the following week.
Yeah, but if I say South Florida will be favored in the rest of their games this season, do you think they win them all? I mean, all you have are 2 games to go on. They're undefeated.
But it goes back to I don't know.
No, but I can't.
You can only rank them based. I rank week to week. I don't rank off of my feelings from down the line. I use that as a tiebreaker.
Where did you have Georgia at the beginning of the season?
I had Georgia at number 2.
Why?
Well, because they lost a lot as well. But I thought Texas would have an offense that would be slightly better. That would be slightly better than Georgia, because I thought that from the quarterback perspective,
right? But why Georgia ahead of the other 14 teams?
Excuse me?
Why Georgia ahead of the other 14 teams?
Because they're the SEC defending SEC champions
with the most talented roster in the SEC, right? In terms of recruiting rankings.
But I'm going off of which team went farther last year. Texas went farther than Georgia did last year.
But I'm saying
you're asking. So Texas went to the semifinals last year. Georgia did not. So based off of what they had, if the Texas's success last year compared to Georgia, even though it was head to head, that's why I went with Texas number 1 and Georgia number 2.
I know. What I'm saying though is in the cases for both, that's when the season starts, you're using your brain and taking the totality of everything into the equation and saying they went this far, they have this coming back, they've got this much talent. And I think you and I just have a different approach to how we filter games as they occur, because it sounds like you're willing to forget a lot of that really important stuff that you base your original decision on, based on what did I just see this week.
But preseason is different than in season.
Where do you have Georgia?
Everything you do in a preseason poll is hypothetical.
Nothing will ever make me forget that Georgia and Texas and Alabama are the 3 most talented rosters in the SEC by a country mile, and that matters. That in future games that will matter. That when Texas is hosting teams, their talent level and the extreme one-sided nature of the elite talent on its roster, those are the things that win national champions. It's not an accident.
No, I think things that beat Vanderbilt, ask Alabama.
Right. But if they played that game 10 times,
coaching does matter.
Alabama went to Nashville last year.
Coaching does matter.
And they played that game 10 times.
But like Stark said, I can't do the hypothetical.
Why not? You're not.
They play the game 10 times.
Literally the Overreaction Monday show.
All that matters is that they played it once and Vanderbilt won.
Did you just say we don't do hypotheticals?
I'm not going to do a hypothetical.
Asking us if we were Arch Manning's dad.
What if somebody ever played someone 10 times in a season?
It's
a ridiculous comparison.
It's not. If Villanova played Georgetown
if you play
in
someone
the
10
championship
times
in 85, 10 times, does Villanova win 10 times?
If I drive without my seatbelt on 10 times and don't get into an accident, does it make it a good idea?
I don't know that that's quite the same thing, but it means statistically you'll be able to drive safely without wearing it. There just will eventually be a time when you're probably not, and then you'll pay for that.
What does any of this have to do with me thinking Oklahoma is better than Texas?
Well, yeah, because I think you, in the beginning, ranked Texas ahead of Oklahoma because you thought they were better, had better talent from top to bottom. And in the last,
I wouldn't say that. I thought that they were a better.
You don't think they have a better?
I thought Texas was a better team.
Where does Oklahoma have more talent?
Based off of what happened last season. But now I rank Oklahoma ahead of Texas because Oklahoma they've got 2 quality wins on their resume. They've got 2 quality wins on the resume. Texas has beaten 3 subpar teams that no one cares about.
Where is Oklahoma better than Texas?
Well, I mean, we know they're better. They're clearly better in the quarterback conversation.
How much better? I want to hear you say it. How much better is John Mateer than Arch Manning?
What's this? What are we rating this on?
I don't know. We don't do hypothetical, so I'm going to need you to frame it however makes
it's
you
your question. I'm saying, what are we doing on a 1 to 10 scale? Are we doing A to B?
Better?
Are we talking about percentage points?
How do you think he's better?
How do I? How?
And to what degree?
Well, he's got wins against Michigan so far and Auburn.
Yep.
Right. So I would say that means something. And while his percentage,
what does it mean? Like, can you like say it? Like, I don't know.
You're not giving me anywhere to go, so if you're not giving me something, then I got to talk it out and figure it out on my own. Okay. So let me figure it out.
Okay.
So Mateer has the better wins. He's leading the conference in passing yards. He's number 7th in passing yards, and he hasn't had a game so far where we feel like.
He's like in the bottom 5 for passing efficiency, though, right?
Well, he also hasn't needed a game as a pick-me-up either.
True.
So we haven't been talking about if he gets it right.
He needs one though, because one of these days, him breaking 140 passing would be good.
Well, he's feeling pretty good about where his team is at the 4-0
part. He's Johnny Manziel. He feels real good right now.
Well, I mean, that's a dumb question. Whoever asked that, I don't even know what the Manziel connection is.
I have no idea either.
It's an abstract question. I don't know where that even came from.
How do you think you compare to Tom Brady?
I mean, if they asked him Kyler Murray or they asked him Baker Mayfield, but that's like me asking Arch, how does he compare to, Shedeur Sanders, right? It's like
so random.
It's an odd thing, not even the same program. So maybe that person thought that he played.
Was Manziel there? Like what?
I don't know. It's an odd. I'll go letter grades. That'd be easier. I would say Mateer is maybe he's at A minus, B plus-ish kind of range. I got to think about that for a second. Arch is definitely C minus at this point because I would have to give him a lot of points for Sam Houston State. Not quite sure that's where I'm at this moment. So he might be at a C minus at this moment, and at this moment with Mateer A minus would put him. I'll put him B plus because A's might make you think that I think he's going to be like a high draft pick, and I'm not really willing to go there at this point.
My scale on these things has actually always been by numbers, not the weird old recruiting 6.1 numbers. I have this 10-point scale. We'll forget about the bottom 5 because it's just varying degrees of terrible. But like 5's average, 6 is slightly above average, 7 is like very good starter, like honorable mention, all Big 12 type. If you're honorable all SEC, that quite frankly is kind of where Quentin would slide into a little bit because an 8 for me would be first team all conference type. One of, and if you're first team all conference, you're probably very close to the next tier, which is 9 for me is all American. And then 10, you get your number retired. So if we work our way backwards, 10 number retired, ain't none of those dudes that. 9 All-American, like Heisman level All-American. I know he's the betting Heisman favorite, but that dude ain't playing like a Heisman candidate. I don't give a shit what anybody's saying. It is a reflection of this Heisman race in the state of college football that a quarterback with a quarterback rating lower than Vince Young's when Vince Young wasn't a thrower, is what it is. I think Mateer for me is like a 7.2 maybe, something like that. He's not an 8, but he's not a 6 is where I'd put Arch. So I think when I look at those two guys right now, I think one's a 7. I think one's a 6. Can the 7 become an 8 or a 9? I'm not convinced.
You said you put Arch as a 6?
Yeah. Today. The question is, can Arch become better than a 7 or an 8 before the end of the season is over? And this is where you and I think are completely on the same page. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything for us to justify saying, oh, yeah, no, by the end of the season, he'll be, forget about what you've seen, he'll be one of the best 1 or 2 quarterbacks in the league. Maybe, but like we don't know that. And I think that's where the conversation with Mateer and Manning is really interesting the rest of the way. What does Manning become? Because he's still, what they need of him, he's not there yet. With all due respect to taunting the kid in the end zone at Sam Houston State. And, weirdly, we could do the numbers thing with Arch. He's second in NCAA in touchdowns. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I just, to finish the point though, because I will concede today that OU has an edge over Texas at the quarterback position. That's not insignificant with that game less than 3 weeks away. Where else on the field do they have an edge over Texas, talent-wise?
They're close at the tight end position potentially. I forget their tight end's name, but
that dude, by the way, is secretly maybe their best offensive player, not named Mateer. The tight end's really good.
He's their best receiver at this moment.
He came out of nowhere. That guy was, you know who that guy was? He's like a big version of Niblet. They're moving him around. They couldn't find him a home. They're like, screw it, put him at tight end, and it's worked. He's really good.
Yeah, what's his name? Jaron Koenig he's
really good. I'm super impressed.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm saying like, so you may have your, Andrews has been kind of banged up, right? And so
I'm okay with calling that kind of a wash.
So, but I'm just trying to go through it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you think of. So there's a hard part of the wide receiver thing, right? Which is, it's what makes it the hard part is I can't ignore Ohio State, right? And so as much as I'd like seeing Ryan Wingo have the breakout game, I'm like, okay, that was Sam Houston State. As good as it's been seeing the Parker Livingston in the last 2 games.
If you were Texas today, you go to Steve Sarkisian and say, Sark, the football gods have made you an offer.
Yeah.
You can have Oklahoma's receivers, but you have to give them back your receivers.
Now, I don't make that trade. So I probably keep the Texas receivers. Now, where I don't know, and I'd have to look a little bit further, is the offensive line.
Your team can run the ball.
Correct, right? But I'd have to ask myself, could I get an Oklahoma offensive lineman that didn't jump off sides, or was it on a holding penalty? And can I get somebody where if we finish the game with 9 penalties and 8 are on offense? Can it just? So that one, I need to reserve the right on that one.
I totally agree.
To do a deeper dig on that there.
You probably give Oklahoma an edge at defensive tackle. And I think it's funny that the guy they asked to take a pay raise in the offseason and almost left because they were too poor and they wanted to get him on a cut rate discount has emerged as surprise 5-star defensive tackle. This just in, don't ask the most talented kids on your team to take less money in 2025.
There's that. That
is hustling backwards. And Oklahoma is so lucky that David Stone they tried to force him out the door.
Yeah.
I'll say this, man. Oklahoma's got some loyal kids, man. Fasusi, Stone.
Yeah.
They don't get many 5-stars that want to go there, but when they do, they want to go there.
One thing about Oklahoma, sometimes you do notice is that when they get guys who are loyal, man, these people are loyal to that program until the day they effing die.
No doubt.
Now, what about R. Mason Thomas, number 32 for them?
He's good, solid player.
He's good. So They got some decent
I
guys.
think Texas has better linebackers. I think Texas is better in the secondary. I think Oklahoma's better on special teams. But from a pure talent standpoint, they're not more talented at quarterback. And look, I would not trade Arch Manning for John Mateer today.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't. Like, I think Mateer is good. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm saying that guy's a 7 right now. He's not better than that. You cannot not throw for more than like a 140 quarterback rating ever. Again, that guy's played 4 Power 4 conference teams going back to the beginning of last year. He's yet to break 139.5 against them. It's like he's not that good, but he's not terrible. But Arch has only been mostly terrible and not good. I would gamble on Arch's upside. And if forced to choose, even in 3 weeks, I'd rather have Arch than Mateer. I think Mateer is going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times against Texas. I don't know about Arch. I actually weirdly think he takes the care of the ball, except when he throws it across his body into the red zone. Again, he does some stupid. Maybe I shouldn't even say that because it feels like when he's between the 20s. I don't know. I just know this, man. Mateer.
I don't understand. Can I ask you a question? I don't understand. How do you judge Mateer on what you see and you judge Arch on his upside?
Because I don't think
you're not judging both of them on what you see.
If I thought both had the same upside, or if I thought Mateer had upside beyond what he is, and he was surrounded by better players and better talent, I would think Mateer's ceiling is higher. But we've seen a larger sample size of Mateer as a starting quarterback, multiple seasons as a starter at multiple schools against a larger variety of opponents. We kind of know what he is. He's a guy that isn't a real plus athlete, but he's a good runner as a quarterback. He's a below average passer by any actual metric other than passing yards. And so I think that, if we get to next year and Arch is still the same guy, I will not be talking about Arch Manning's upside. Like that stopped with Quinn at some point too. But Arch 3 weeks ago was the presumed number 1 pick in the draft because of his talent. 3 weeks later, I'm supposed to forget that we still think that guy's probably going to end up being a high pick once it all comes together. I think the thing for Texas and the thing for Arch, and this is where the fraud part of the headline of the title comes into play. How fraudulent was Saturday? Because I think what Arch needed to have happen, and I think the thing that I'm actually most optimistic about Saturday is that I thought crappy Arch showed up at the beginning of that game. He was throwing low passes. He was still throwing them short, and a couple of times his receivers just bailed him out. He was not in the first quarter throwing the ball well. And I thought, same issues. If the game's moving too fast for him, his mechanics get sloppy, and he short arms the ball. But by the time the second quarter started, that stopped. He stopped short arming the balls. I never completely forgot about it because I'd already had a mental note in my head of like, oh crap, he's still throwing it low a lot. But by the end of the game, he looked like a guy that had found some rhythm. I compared it, I think yesterday on the show, to a guy who's in a slump with women who hires a pro and then comes out of an hour's experience thinking he's ready to be a ladies' man again. Sometimes you get confidence. Sometimes you're just a guy that needs a pro again, I suppose. And, that's the thing we don't know about Arch is like how it may have been manufactured to some degree, right? If you're Arch Manning, you just got to know, man, the optics of being up 30 against Sam Houston State after you've played like crap. Like, people are going to bust your balls a little bit if you get seen talking smack there. It just kind of is what it is.
Have you seen the justification for it? I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
That the guy, tackled Arch, popped him really good, and did the step over Arch, so that Arch basically retaliated.
Arch can't swing down. That's the thing. Arch will be on first take if and when he ever swings down. And he swung down, and the optics were terrible. You know, if honestly he were the number one leading Heisman candidate and had played really well in the first 3 games and then done that, we'd be talking about all of the moxie that he has, and maybe he's a little bit of a shithead on the field, but like we like that in our quarterbacks. But when you played 3 bad games in a row and then your slump buster is Sam Houston State, it does just look a certain kind of way when you stunt on a guy you just can't, man. It's like, be like, you just can't. There's so many bad analogies, but I can forgive it because you know what? And look, this is an indictment. And if Anwar, you want to say checkmate over the Mateer Arch Manning discussion today, this to me is maybe the biggest checkmate moment of your side of the argument. I think Arch needed it. And say whatever you want to about John Mateer. Confidence is not an issue with that young man. He believes in himself. He does not believe he has the yips. He does not believe he's in a funk. He does not believe he needed a slump buster against Sam Houston State. I think everybody did with Arch. And until we get beyond a point with Arch Manning that we're not saying things like, you know what would do him a lot of good? If he could just have a good game against Sam Houston State. We got to get beyond that. And maybe Saturday was the first step in that actually occurring, but we're not there yet. And you won't be there before the Florida game. And look, we're going to go into the Oklahoma game and the same benefit of the doubt will exist because barring Texas just going into the swamp and putting a 40 burger on Florida and just romping them, right? Like they did last year. Barring that, we're going to go in. We are going to, as a football public, we are going to casually dismiss anything they do in a win over Florida because when that game is over, Texas will have beaten what appears to be a 1-4 football team. So talent, it won't matter. That it's in the swamp won't matter because South Florida beat them in the swamp.
They sure as hell did.
We will go into the Oklahoma game and we will not know with Arch Manning. There's nothing that he can do, I think, between now and the OU game that will allow us to feel like we know everything is going to be okay. And I will just say this, the thing that I will absolutely concede with Mateer, you know you're going to be okay with him. Do you know you're going to be great? Maybe not. But I don't know that we yet know in a game of that magnitude of Texas will be okay with Arch. Kind of damning praise. And I don't mean to like double edge. I don't mean to jab poor John Mateer in the ribs while giving him a compliment. But I am confessing that OU will go into that game, I think, with less natural concern. Now, whether they should or shouldn't is a really interesting philosophical and like football debate to have, but they will feel sure about quarterback than Texas will in that game.
Yeah, I think OU goes into that game thinking to themselves, okay, we're going to get some get back this year against that team because we've seen the voids there, right? We saw what Ohio State did. That's it. The thing that worries me about Ohio State, right? More so anything else is anybody going to be that good? No, right? But there was a blueprint that was given, which was, hey, this is how you confuse Arch. This is how you throw him off. And every defensive coordinator who has athletes may not be as good as that program, but who's got athletes, they're going to say, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to confuse him. And that will be the blueprint. That's what Florida's going to spend the next couple of weeks working on. How do you confuse him? Oklahoma, Brent Venables, he's going to do the same exact thing. Kentucky is going to be one of those programs catch after that. Their offense is trash, but they've got a decent defense, right? And then you're going to have Mississippi State, and I don't know what the hell to think of them. I know they're 4-0, and they beat Arizona State, but I don't know even what that means. I thought Levy would be fired by now, so it probably means something. It means something for him, So
they're not wretched, which is what we thought.
And here's my thing, because this goes back to what you said, Catch, when you talked about how good this defense is, and they are good. But we both know every defense just has one of them days that it just, as good as you are. You talked about Diego Pavia. Diego Pavia had Vanderbilt in a position where maybe they could have won that game last year, right? So it doesn't happen, but you're going to have a game where, they gave up, 24 points, I think.
I would say, though, Texas a year ago never had one of – they gave up 20 points in a game.
Was it 24 to Vanderbilt?
They gave up the 30 to Georgia at home, and nobody thought they played like shit that night. That is not what happened in that game. And then, I guess the other one was against
27-24 against Vanderbilt.
But they never had one of those games. They just gave up. You know what I would say about this Texas defense? It knows how to win with average quarterback play better than almost any team in the country, because they got by week after week. The thing about Quinn last year that people don't talk about, because it's too easy to just focus on the raw number, and, or you look at, he just keeps winning and you go, oh, well, yeah, he's the number 4 or 5 quarterback all time because he went to a couple of playoff spots and he gets to be a winner. But the thing that killed Texas with Quinn is that every game, he would have at least 2 quarters. And because I'm a nerd and I chart this stuff, and don't worry, Tom, we'll get to your super chats. We'll end the show with them. He would have these 30-minute stretches of football where he just did nothing. Didn't complete passes down the field. The offense didn't score points. And last year, the defense made it work. Texas would usually have a flurry of about 15 to 17 points, sometimes early in the game. Usually at some point in the game, Texas goes on a flurry, and Quinn would have a great quarter. Then he would have 2 terrible quarters. And then there's usually a mixed in there, which you can live with. You can't live with So this defense does know how to win these games. They did it a year ago. They did not win. They did not make it to the semifinals of the playoffs last year with good quarterback play. That's not what they had. They had acceptable quarterback play. And right now, say whatever we want to say about Arch. Quarterback rating through 4 games, higher than Quinn Ewers's. Now, it's a small sample size. It is what it is, but it's not as terrible as it looks. It's still better than Mateer. It is an evolving thing. And I just would say that defense is only going to give up 20 points twice this season. And the question is, do they lose both games where they're asked to score more than 20 points? I do not think they will lose a game this year where the defense gives up less than 17 points. I fully believe that. So, to me, Georgia in Athens is the red flashing, blinking light. And then you look at Oklahoma and you look at A&M. And do I definitely believe that either of those teams is definitely going to score 20? No, I don't. OU barely scored 20 against Auburn at home this week with everything going in their favor from a call standpoint. It was given a fraudulent touchdown. It had another touchdown taken off the board. There were multiple pass interference penalties that weren't called. Meanwhile, Auburn had 13 penalties called. It was all of that, and they won by 1 score against a pretty good Auburn team with wretched quarterback play. That's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. The thing about the SEC, and I know we got to go, and look, I'll put Tom's first super chat up there. I know we got to knock through these. Everybody's quarterback play is not as good as we thought. Lenore Sellers, not as good. Jackson Arnold I don't even know if he's any better than he was last year against Oklahoma. Arch isn't as good. The Nussmeier kid has been kind of the team that wins the SEC is going to be the quarterback that finally takes a jump from to, that guy's actually really good. I don't know who in the hell that is.
Is Diego Pavia the best quarterback in the SEC right now?
I can't say no because I can't tell you who the other guy is. The problem with Pavia is that Though I don't know. I think it speaks I'm not pro Pavio here. He of the 9-year career.
Hey, at least
You're gonna ask me this question next year.
at least he said he's done. Like after that report came out that said he was going to do another season. At least he's like, no, dude, I'm not doing this again. Like I'm done. Like I'm so I'm just asking. Like I'm not saying is he a future NFL pick? Like nothing crazy like that. I'm just talking about the guy that you go in and say, well, that's the quarterback that could probably lead you to something. I mean, is Pavia really the guy at this point?
I'm going to say no, because Pavia will, in 4 or 5 games before the season is over, not be the best quarterback on the field. Like
I just said today, if you had to go, if the season ended today,
who am I playing?
Like, who's first team SEC? Are you going Mateer or are you going Pavia? You're not going to go Sellers. Lagway's horrible.
I'm going Pavia over Mateer at this point. He's got a better win, I think, than either of the games. Them going to South Carolina and beating them like they stole something out of their grandmother's purse is, even though South Carolina didn't recover and lost. Look, South Carolina went on the road at Missouri and gave them a 4-quarter fist fight. I don't know. Like the SEC's just.
Or the Tennessee quarterback, Aguilar.
Hey, that's probably the answer right now, which is kind of amazing, which again should probably tell us we don't really know anything yet. Tom, the question, why would Dylan Gabriel be better than Mateer? Because he's a better athlete, a better runner, and a better passer. But other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? There's literally none of that I said can really be disputed. He's not a better athlete or runner than Dylan Gabriel was. He's not a better passer. He's literally never thrown better than a 140 against a Power 4 conference team. And Dylan Gabriel was literally first team all Big 12. And then you ran him out of town. Like, come on, Tom. Come on.
But hey, that being said, you're supposed to connect with Tom because he's going to hook you up with some Cowboys tickets.
I know. What sweet.
Today.
It's like, he may get me out of my house and into Cowboys Stadium, which I don't know. I don't know.
Probably sounded more enticing before this past Sunday's performance against the Bears.
Oh, now that the SEC annual opponents are revealed, who has the easiest path? I think it's LSU.
So Texas, they just got permanent opponents, right, for the 9-game. So Texas permanent opponents are Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. LSU's permanent opponents are Ole Miss, A&M, and Arkansas.
I think that's a wash.
Yeah. A&M is LSU, Missouri, and Texas.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Texas, with all due respect to their current placements in the AP, neither A&M or, well, A&M might be a top 5 program in the SEC from top to bottom. They might be. They certainly have a roster that's, if they're hitting on all cylinders, it's a top 5 program. But that's not Oklahoma. Oklahoma's too poor. Like, look, we joked earlier, but like nothing has changed. They literally had David Stone entered the portal because Oklahoma asked him as one of their only 2 elite level prospects on the team to take a 50% pay raise or cut. Like, you realize Texas literally didn't lose anybody in the A&M. You almost lost their most talented prospect because of money. Like, it matters. These things matter. I think that's as good as you could hope for if you're Texas. Those are 2 really, I think, tough opponents, but not no season should enter with Texas going, well, that's an L. Why is it an L? Because it's them. They don't have one of those teams. And I think there are teams that Texas got that will look at that and go, well, that sucks. Why does it suck? Well, because they're going to be top 5 every year. Like, that's a hard one. And some schools didn't get hard ones. They won't like to say it, but A&M and Oklahoma and Arkansas will view Texas as exactly the same as a team that gets Georgia or a team that gets Alabama. They'll look at that and go, well, that's not fair that we have to play them and other teams don't. And if a team doesn't have to play any of those three teams, everybody else will look around and go, well, that's some bullshit. And the thing about OU and A&M, nobody's tripping because they're on anybody's schedule. There's not one school that's like, oh, man, they got Oklahoma, or they did. Either did or didn't. Nobody cares. There's three teams in the SEC everybody will look at to see who has to play them and who doesn't. And the teams that don't will be viewed as having favorable schedules. And the teams that do won't.
By the way, can I just say this real quick? So Georgia's permanent schedules are Auburn, Florida, and South Carolina. That's probably the easy path. I do think, though, I understand history, and I get the history between Texas and Arkansas. I get that. Honestly, I would trade Arkansas for Georgia. I think the SEC is missing out on a huge opportunity, because I know they're doing regional and trying to keep traditions intact, but that game is bigger for Arkansas than it is for Texas.
Oh yeah.
And and to me, if you're the SEC, you should have said, you know what? I'm going to make a permanent Georgia-Texas theme because every single year this is a marquee game for us, as opposed to, well, Texas and Arkansas used to play back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, and it's like, yeah, but nobody cares. Like, no.
Well, I wonder why they felt like they had to throw Arkansas a bone.
That's what I need to know.
What does Arkansas have in the vault of the SEC front office where they're like, hey, guys, we know what the smart thing is.
Correct.
We know what will make the most amount of money.
Yes.
But ...
What
are we going to do if they're unhappy in Fayetteville?
we need to, if they become bowl eligible, we get some money. Like, they'll only ever be bowl eligible at the ceiling. Their ceiling will be bowl eligibility. Playoffs will never happen. No, there's not a marquee game on their schedule. They don't get top recruits. It's just a program. But you know what? They should play Texas every single year.
It's the next step in the Jerry Jonesification of college football taking place. Yeah. Because the next thing to happen is for Texas to go, why are we getting equal shares of television money as Arkansas?
Yeah.
And it was at the moment when Jerry Jones was like, well, why am I taking less money for a league deal with Coke when I can sign my own deal with Pepsi and y'all be fine?
Yep.
Y'all keep that money.
You keep my half. You keep my portion.
I'm not taking anything from you. You do you. I'm going to do me. And that's the thing that's happening. You're seeing in the ACC where the Florida States of the world are like, y'all better give me something if y'all want me to be happy and stay. And at some point, we're going to see it in the Big Ten. We're going to see it in the SEC. The money's just going to become so significant that equal revenue sharing is a pipe dream in 10 years. In 10 years, there's no way we're seeing equal shares of revenue in anything between the haves and the have-nots. That is the next thing to go. Real quick, because I know we got to go, and I missed Sailor Joe earlier. $9.99. I watched Mateer. I'm sorry, Sailor Joe, that I missed you. I watched Mateer all last year. He's good, but the real question is, can he handle SEC play? He looked lackluster Saturday, and you can't just keep running him. He's going to run into a good defense. I thought he ran into a good defense on Saturday. I thought he could handle it just fine. I didn't think he was lackluster. I thought he was pretty good.
I think the question becomes, Catch, as in the conversation of Mateer, is it like Quinn, where how good do you need to be in order for your team to have success? Like Quinn, so Quinn was never what we consider the elite of the elite, right? Yeah. But he was good enough to keep Texas in ball games and win. I think that's the thing with Mateer. I'm like, yeah. He may not have a 180 passer rating, right? But if he's at that 150-ish with this defense, is that good enough for Oklahoma? Like, I don't know.
Not to be better than 8-4. But your point, though, is critically important. Like if that OU defense is actually elite, and so far they've certainly shown signs that they are, then I think what is asked of Mateer probably is enough in some games. This one's weird. Let's end it on this. I'll let you have the final say. I literally won't respond with just other than my facial reaction. How many points do you think it will take? The winning team in the Cotton Bowl in a couple of weeks will need to score how many points?
I mean, you said 17, right?
I think for me personally, I think it's going to be a 17-13 type game, which is to say, I think it's mostly a coin flip right now. Like I'm not acting as if that game's not losable. I'm not acting like that game's not hanging in the doubt. I favor Texas. Texas is a 9.5 favorite right now. Like you can still get that odds in Vegas. They've not changed it. I wouldn't have the line quite that high. I would probably have it at 7. But I, at this point, won't pick Texas to cover. Not that that means anything. I'm terrible against the spread this year. I'm 1-3 for the record, just like Auburn, or not Auburn, but Florida. I don't know how many points.
It's a good one. It does seem like a 17-13-ish kind of game. It does seem like it's a slugfest game. I'd be shocked. Now, look, I know
it took 8 in Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, now look, because we know the nature of that game. There's going to be a turnover, something crazy like that happens.
I think that's how the game gets decided.
Yeah,
somebody's defense or special teams makes the play,
and that to me will be the thing that you can't factor into the game that could swing it in another way. But I'd be shocked if we're talking 24-21 or
me too
24-20. Like I would be shocked that we see that kind of offense at this moment. I'm gonna go 17. I think 17. I think it's a low scoring game at this moment.
Yeah,
I think it's a grinder.
It's so funny. Life is a circle, right? We've not been on the same page for most of the show, and yet at the very end of the show, we're exactly on the same page. We think that Texas OU game in a few weeks, it's not a big overreaction. It's just a reaction on a Monday. 20 points probably wins you that game. Arch, can you do that for Texas? We'll see. Guys, we got to go. Anwar's got a Monday press conference.
I got to get out of here.
Too. We've made him late. Thanks for watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Sorry it went over an hour. It just happens occasionally. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you maybe later today if you're watching right here on Orange Woods Live.